gosh, if I could just use that paint, it's a whole lot easier, a lot faster, a lot cheaper, and it looks almost as good, so why do this, you know?
We appreciate you.
But I say, I mean, that on a really nice woodwork, you know, some piece or something, just as a flourish or a little architectural element, or a piece of furniture or something, that really, I mean, that's going to jump. And it's just something about gold.
Is there any surface that gilding would not stick to?
The only thing I could think of would be something that's silicone based or something where, in other words, anything that varnish will stick to, you can gild.
You ready to do this?
Yeah, oh yeah, go ahead and knock a little off. Yeah, you gotta.
Okay.
Let's see how that looks. Now that feather part, we're probably going to have to hit that again, but the arrow part probably would. It's not a problem.
Well, I hit that spear point a little bit. I see a lot of this stuff is just. I think the thing that you mentioned a while ago about the fear, there is a fear that we waste all of this stuff and most of us are tight wads. I'm speaking only for myself.
No, we all are. I'll tell you.
But we don't want to waste a piece of walnut or Purple Heart, and so therefore we don't try it, and because we fear of failing, and so. But a lot of this stuff, you just got to bite the bullet, jump in, and say, "To heck with it. If I screw up, I'll do it again." And it saves time, I think, to okay, I'm going to do it, and if it's wrong, I'll set the saw again, and I'll do it over.
Well, the nice thing about this, I mean, if you blow this piece, you just resize it and regild it. You don't have to scrape anything off or whatever. It's so thin, it's just like a layer of paint or whatever, and you can just put another coat of size on it and regild it if you mess it up or it just doesn't look right or whatever.
So see that if you can get some of this and fill in some of the little things.
Yeah. Now usually what I'll do when I take my makeup brush and you start getting to this point, and rather than just brushing it, I do a little swirl method, and that'll take those loose pieces and kind of knock them into some of those spaces you missed, and then.
With a spray adhesive, what do you spray with that spray adhesive and then put that going? Will that work, or is that way out of
it might work. I don't know how long it would last though. And the problem with the spray adhesive is it's not a self-leveling thing, so you might have it real thick over here and real thin over there. This size does tend to, I mean, even if you put it on a little heavy over here and a little bit lighter there, if it's covered, it tends to level itself out a little bit. There was a friend of mine, he did a huge sign, and I hope he's not watching this thing on Ustream, but he did a sign for a furniture store, and he didn't have any size. So he had the gold, but he didn't have the size, so he goes down to Ace Hardware and he bought
wallpaper?
No, I want to say regular varnish or some kind of varnish, I don't know, and just figured, what the heck, it'll work. And it looked great for about 3 months. And then all of a sudden, it just started falling off the sign. And these were real big letters. I mean, this was about an $11,000 sign. Yeah, you want to use the right stuff when you're doing it. I mean, if you're going to go to the trouble to do it, use the right stuff. And you know, sometimes you learn the hard way on that one, but now,
well, I'm not a pro, but hey,
I think it looks pretty doggone good myself.
Well, one made in a day, and so I'm par for the course. Give me 6 more days, and I think I can have it.
I believe you'd have it in another hour.
Yeah.
All right, now here's an example of what we were talking about, how it can stick over on the side where you don't want it. Now, I didn't put any egg white or potato or talc or anything on there, but let's see how this works. you can easily just rub it off. As you see, that's just coming right off there. If you get something that's really just doesn't want to come off with a little bit of rub, you can try some denatured alcohol and a Q-tip or a paint thinner. You know, you don't want to get into here though. Once you get the gold on there, you really don't want to touch it any more than you have to, because it will scratch. Let's see, let's take this thing here.
Yukon Gold potato would work pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Are those Idaho potatoes or?
Yukon Gold.
Now here's the
potatoes.
we'll do the engine turn. Can I get a drink of water or something? Is there a water fountain around? Now this is, like I say, this is just a piece of foam with a little piece of velvet, and it's just taped around there, so it's kind of soft. It's got a little bit of a crown or roundness to it, not much, but just a little bit, because you don't want like a hard edge on it or anything. And then basically, now if you're doing a big job, say you're doing a transom of a boat or something, you know, an 8 or 9 inch letter, you know, it would take you forever to spin thing by hand. So a lot of people will actually take a drill and then do something, you know, like this, and then mount it into a drill and do it like that. But now you really got to be careful. If you go too hard on there, it'll just spin the gold right off. So you really have to, you know, gotta have a pretty good hand for that. You just touch it, you know, when you're doing it with a drill, going real slow. I like to use a little automatic screwdriver, a battery screwdriver. They aren't quite as powerful or as heavy as a drill, and you can, you know, but for something like this, that's all you need. Now what I'm going to do, you want to do this or go flat?
Yeah, flat.
Let's go flat.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take it here. There's not any real pattern. Oh, I appreciate that. Not a real pattern to it, but you don't want it to be too hodgepodge. You want to kind of keep the spacing about the same on there. On a letter this size, it's not going to make a lot of difference. On a big letter, you would be able to see, you know, I mean, if you were kind of one here and then one way over here or something, you want to kind of keep them consistent. I'm just going to take it.
When you're doing that, would you want to try and line them up, or would a random pattern look better?
It's somewhere in between the two. If it's too lined up, it looks machine-like. This material right here is sign gold. It's hard to see. This is real tiny little swatches here, but they have 3 different versions of the engine turn on there. Real big, a medium, and a real small. It gives you the right effect and everything, but it's so computer perfect, it doesn't look, I mean, it looks fake, or it looks, you know, like it's not the real deal. So you kind of want them even, but you don't want it mechanical looking. Does that make sense? Now I'm just going to take it. Can you see that all right?
Got it.
And just take it, and I'm just going to put it right there, and a little spin, and a little spin. Now, this is something that's it's not super noticeable. It's not going to change the look of it a lot, but what it does, like I say, it'll put little scratches in there, and then it allows the light to reflect, reflect or refract off of there. And I don't know if you can see that little.
Well, let me find you. Okay.
The difference. It's very, very, very subtle.
Hold it still. I'll catch you. Okay. Yeah, got it.
And what that does, it catches the light no matter what direction you're looking at it, and it gives you some bounce to it. This, you know, like I say, you use it mostly on fire engines. That's where they kind of invented it. And it's just a little.
I missed what you were using for a brush this.
Huh?
What are you using?
This right here, this is just an old paint brush, but now what I did, I put a washer on the end here to give it a round. Then I put a little piece of foam on there, and then just wrapped it over with a piece of velvet. It's basically just a piece of black velvet, and I just cut it, put it over like that, and then just wrap some tape around so it gives you a little thing there. Trim off the edge. This seems to be the only thing that works. I don't know why. I guess because it's just got those little hairs or whatever, and it's just enough to put scratches in it without, you know, burning through the whole thing. And this is not a, you know, it's, like I say, this would be only something you wouldn't do it on something dimensional like this. It wouldn't work. I mean, it wouldn't show up. This just helps it when it's something flat to make it show from different directions and give you a little more zip on your gold. Now, there's also, at that point, once you get your gold on there, there's other methods of burnishing. This piece was done by Bruce DeVoe up in, I believe he's New Hampshire or Connecticut. This is a really nice piece, and he now this is cleared over too, so you lose a little bit of the bounce, but for something that delicate you almost have to. But can you see the striations inside here? What this guy actually did was put these on and then actually had some kind of a mask. I think it was just paper, because obviously you can't stick something on the gold. So I think he just used cut several little paper masks and then took a piece of cotton and burnished it in different directions, and that's what gives you the different, you know, the incised look. But I think he told me it was what was it? 1,000. I think it was 1,037 different pieces he had to cut and burnish on there. You know, talk about your 6-hour corn, huh? There's your, I can't imagine how much time he has on this piece here, but he does some amazing stuff. But that's basically it's the exact same thing as what I did on that, except I just did a spin turn. What he did, he masked it out and then burnished it in one direction, and then go back on the other side, mask off what he just did, then burnish it in a different direction. That gives you these prism.
You ended up with that.
This is part of the letterhead thing, and these guys, I mean, I don't know how to explain this. They're a lot like you guys. I mean, they get together on their own dime and are just delighted to show you how they made something, or turn you on to a whole new thing that you haven't been able to do before. Or the first letterhead meet I went to, Gary Anderson, one of all of our mentors. I mean, he's one of the guys you really look up to in this organization, and he was doing a marbleizing seminar, and where he took a turkey feather and dragged some striations through the paint, and, you know, and a sponge, and, you know, and I'm looking at it and thinking, man, that's too artistic for me. I can't do that. And so he comes over, and I was saying, man, I wish I could do that. I'm just not that good. And he says, come here. Grabs me, puts a sponge in my hand, puts the turkey feather in my hand, and he says, now do it, you know. And by God, I did a piece, and I took it over to this friend of mine's the next week, and I walked in. It was a piece of plywood that had been painted like marble, and I walked in, and Bob goes, hey, where'd you get that piece of marble? And I went,